Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Oh, hold on a minute. It is funny though, isn't it? So tell me a bit about yourself, says the interviewee. I'd rather not. I really need this job. How long is it since you've been in a position like that? And can you thank your lucky stars that you may never need to do that again? Good morning. Hola, bon dia, alegria, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. How are you? Well, I hope. Do let me know. Not always easy being a human being sometimes, is it? And at these times, you might argue, especially challenging and difficult occasionally. So let us know how you're doing. Tudo bem? Como estás? Let me know in the chat or send me a message, 913-590-303. Or if you have been paying or if you've been reflecting in deep gratitude this morning, as I know some Gumpers do, maybe why don't you share a few things that you're happy for, or even send a picture. If there's a view from your window or a recent experience that you've had that's made you glad to be alive, 913-590-303. Certainly the videos that were sent to us yesterday were in that ballpark, weren't they, of joyous living here in Portugal. Thank you very much to Sarah and to John, João Donor, caught by Pam, actually. The Donor sent a beautiful bit of footage of the back garden and the absolute din of the church bells, the local birds, the wildlife, the cockerel. It was really wonderful. And then Sarah sent another similar bit of footage in from the Caldas da Rainha area, both spliced together and added to our treasury of all wonderful things to do with Portugal on our YouTube channel, of course, Good Morning Portugal over on YouTube. Thanks to everybody who's helped us well and truly above 2,000 subscribers. So, yeah, good morning to you. Keep those coming. Wayne's done that. Carpe Diem sent us, inspired by Sarah and by Pam, has sent in a bit of footage as well. And too late to share yesterday. Got chatting, didn't we? Get chatting, and we forget to include things, including this from James. Maybe that should wait. The new Buddha patch. We'll come back to that because I'm sure he's got a mindful moment for us this morning. Thank you very much for the memes you've sent in, James. Don't forget to cross-post them as well at the Portugal Club. Nice to see them over there. Oh, and talking of which, postings up at the Portugal Club. I think our postcard idea yesterday was quite popular. So here's another one for you, a bit of Portuguese vocabulary. Well, let's complete. See if we can compete. But let's, first of all, see if we can complete on yesterday's dormir com janela aberta, constipação, quer certa. If you sleep with a window open, a cold is almost certain there. This morning's, let's have a look at this great big gob on the screen, as we call it in the UK. Do you use the word gob in the United States, I wonder? Boca fechada, now pega moscas. Somebody watching on our YouTube channel. Who was that? That was Hard Hat GR. Thank you very much for that, for the boca fechada, now pega moscas. I won't tell you what that means just yet. I'll leave it hanging there, and you can have a go at that. So boca fechada, now pega moscas. I'll stick that up over on the Portugal Club as well, should you wish to peruse that later on this morning. Great to be here. Good to be in your company. Thank you so much. And we have the Assange High Court hearing today, don't we, to see if Julian Assange will be sent to the United States to face a pretty dismal future, I suspect, over there. Let me just add a deep thought from him then this morning in his absence, which has been at least 5 years in His Majesty's Belmarsh prison. It started off as Her Majesty's Belmarsh Institution, high security prison. And before that, he was in the Ecuadorian embassy, of course, for basically sharing the truth. If wars can be started by lies, they can be stopped by the truth. So from my personal point of view, I hope you get a decent and fair outcome today, Julian Assange. Right, James was in at 7:51. Bon dia, Gumpers. Felicitas a todos. Como va todos? Mindful moment from you, James. Courage. Courage, says Ambrose Red Moon. Ambrose. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather Terry Wagwan. That's where I last saw the name Ambrose. And every time I say Ambrose, it reminds me of that wonderful sketch of Terry Wagwan. That's a little skit of Terry Wogan broadcasting in Jamaica. Some of you may not know what on earth I'm talking about, so I'll move on. Courage, says Ambrose Red Moon, which is a great name, is it not? Who doesn't like a red moon first thing in the morning? Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. It relates very nicely to Julian Assange, doesn't it, this morning? So courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. Wow, excellent. Ambrose Red Moon via James. Slow, it's how slug dances. Thank you, Kylie. What? Mindful dad joke. A mindfulness instructor was arrested before the class started. Apparently, it was for premeditated murder. Ay, ay, ay. And the visual, which I think is rather good this morning. Well, it was yesterday morning, but in the hurly-burly. Sounds like Wogan, doesn't it? Hurly-burly. So it is. Good man yourself there, James. Too busy to meditate? Try the Buddha patch. I'm achieving enlightenment while I clean my toilet. Also available in capsule gel and suppository. Excellent. For those people too busy to meditate, the ones arguably who should be meditating. But who am I to should on someone? Certainly not. Carry on, madam, achieving enlightenment while you are cleaning your toilet. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much for that, James. Let's get back to your comments this morning and see if I can get myself back on the screen. That's how it's done. There you go. And the banner, which tells you this morning, we've got Jason joining us of Quinta Essencial. He knows our other guest this morning, who you saw last week. Effa's back. A little bit of an update from Aoife. She's bringing a friend who's in the country briefly, who I'd like to meet. So we'll speak to them, Aoife and her friend, at 9:30 or thereabouts. Jason will be in before then. Matty, it's doubtful whether he can join us or not. He's got some problems. I don't know if he's on his Quinta Andraguas or not. It's always nice to get an update from him as to what's going on his Quinta, because it is Quinta Crew Day here on the Good Morning Portugal show, where Lee McGrady joins us, of course, as well, on his way into work. And that's also a fingers crossed, because it doesn't always go according to plan when the Quinta Crew. It's like homesteading. It's like gardening. Things don't always go to plan. We're in the hands of nature here this morning. So if it's going to be a full house of Quinta Crew guests, we will see Lee McGrady, the head gardener. We will see Matty from Quinta Andraguas. We will see Jason Hall, and we'll also see Aoife Brewster and her pal dropping in as well this morning. And she is bringing Joy with her. Isn't that a lovely thing to be able to say? Now, Joy is a friend of hers, and like she describes her as a fairy godmother. So a fairy godmother called Joy. Everyone needs one of those in their life, don't they? All right, let's go back to your comments, your lovely comments in the chat here. They can also be sent on 913-590-303. Video to come from Carpe Diem and from Barandi. We also forgot to show the footage of a mole cricket that he met whilst he was out on his walk. On basically, the Ugly Bugs Ball was what his walk was yesterday morning. Bon dia a todos e feliz terça from Coach Turner. I'll be training with my eldest grandson this afternoon. How lovely. He's nearly 17. He's a good footballer, but needs to learn how to sprint. Should be fun. Isn't that amazing? Can you still beat him, Coach Turner? Or did that stop about 5 years ago? God Squad tip of the day then. Following on from yesterday, I thought it might be helpful to explore objectives and how to reach them. God Squad is about improving health while enjoying life. Absolutely right. Let's not forget that. But what that looks like will be different for each of us. However, for me, it's about maximizing my health span and minimizing the gap between that and my lifespan. So lifespan, of course, is just getting to a ripe old age and probably being quite ripe by the time you get there, but maybe not in the best of health. And that's where this new concept, relatively new concept compared to lifespan, has come in, of health span. And that's what Coach Turner would like to do is close that gap between lifespan and health span. Hopefully, while the details might change, that's not a bad objective for all of us. So this week, let's look at some of the little wins we need to achieve that. A little win first thing in the morning. At the core of it is nutrition. Getting the balance of what we eat and drink or what we eat and drink right, will have more impact on our health than anything else we do. Oh, that's controversial, Coach Turner. I would say, I think what we eat and drink is very important, but I think how we're being maybe even is contextual, and maybe it's so fundamental we don't even think about it. But surely and sorry to call you Shirley this early in the morning, Shirley, how we're being, our very approach and orientation to life must have an impact on our health span and lifespan for that matter. But anyway, getting the balance of what we eat and drink right will have more impact on our health than anything else we do. So increasing our consumption of plant-based foods and limiting alcohol to 2 to 3 days a week and reducing sugar intake will all help. Try writing a food diary as a starting point. Dear diary, forgive me, I have sinned. 3 pastel donatas today. 6 coffees, that sort of thing as a starting point. Yeah, you can't manage what you don't measure. There's a little saying like that, isn't it? And it does help to write things down and to measure and get a sense of what's actually going on. You'd have been proud of part of my meal last night, Coach. I had a burger no prato, and at Pingadosia they do what's it called? The burgers are hormone free. Antibiotics, I think. Antibiotic-free Angus burgers they do in there. Fairly reasonably priced, but you'd expect to pay a little bit more for decent meat, I think. It's fair to say. And I had that on a bed of salad. And he had a few chips, didn't have many chips, just had a little sprinkling of chips. However, the reason I did that was because whilst I was preparing dinner for everybody, I thought, Mrs. M, why has she bought the most unattractive looking bread roll here for the burgers? And it's kind of flat and floury, and it didn't look much. And I broke a little bit off to try it, and it was like this. It was the most delicious bread I've had for a long time. And there is some delicious bread here in Portugal. They don't make it easy for you when it comes to bread intake. And I thought, that would be nice with a bit of butter. So I got some butter. I thought, oh, that'll be nice with that bit of cheese I've got in the fridge that nobody else likes here. But it's a little bit on the high side. And I ate the whole bread roll with a big chunk of cheese and loads of butter. Hence my burger no prato a little bit later on that same evening. But I think that's the sort of thing you're talking about, isn't it? Is balancing things. And I think it's very important as well. The things that we are going to implement into the diary need to be pleasurable, don't they? Otherwise, we pretty much won't do them unless you're one of those really disciplined types. And those people, I think, are pretty rare. Limiting alcohol then as well to 2 to 3 days a week and reducing sugar intake will all help. That's a challenge here in Portugal, but together we can try writing a food diary then as a starting point and work to improve on that as you look and measure what you're doing. Nice one, Coach Turner. Very good. Excellent stuff. Do love the health span idea. It's quite sobering, isn't it, to think not only would I like to live a long time, I'd like to be healthy in that long time that I live. Hola, bon dia from a sunny Varzea, central Portugal. Good morning to you, buddy. It's so reassuring to have some familiar names back in position. I'm hoping a T-Duck will be here this morning. I'm not sure his pattern is completely readjusted. Will T-Duck's pattern ever be completely readjusted, I wonder? Certainly lovely to have you in our community and company here in Portugal, buddy. Well done. Bom dia, Portugal! I think Gerald Denort likes shouting that at the bottom of his garden and adding to the soundscape. And look who's back as well. A quick midnight hola from California. Happy to be visiting family, but missing Portugal. Oh, Global Nobles, lovely to see you here. Send our love to California, if you will. Thank you very much. Great to see you, Amy and Greg here. And Starbuck as well, presumably right by your side. A closed mouth doesn't catch flies. Good guess. Good guess. I'm not going to give it away yet. And Bosch Malta, stopping in this morning as getting a new front door fitted to the Quinta. Is that a euphemism? I wonder. Good morning to you, Pai Randy. And you met a mole cricket, didn't you, while you were out and about yesterday morning? Look at the size of that. There's nothing to give it scale. The next time, by Randy, we need a euro coin next to it or some other device. I was going to say a man's hand, but some men have bigger hands than others. And you know what they say. Anyway, and you sent us a picture of this lovely tree as well. That looks like it should be on the cover of an 80s album in black and white, doesn't it? That spooky tree. A little bit of eucalyptus, I think, twisting into the sky. There's that eucalyptus, I think it is. And then some video as well of the mole cricket. Let's see if this little fella made any noise while you were filming. They often stop talking, don't they, when you start filming? It's funny like that. But here it is.
Look at that crazy looking thing. Got like wings. Don't know what it is.
Do you think, Andy, he was looking up and thinking exactly the same thing? Look at that crazy looking thing. He's got wings. He can see your aura, Andy. He's got wings. It's a heavenly being. Thank you for that, Andy. Quite extraordinary. And I think those fellas are pretty noisy when they get going. Good morning to you, Andy. Bon dia Gumpers from Michael Barton. Good to see you, Michael. Thank you for your support of the show. And greetings from the Algarve. Hey up, the sunshine. Hey up, lad. Hey up, the sunshine is so warm. It's cracking flags, lad. Hey, already the flags are being cracked in the Algarve this morning. Nice one, Paul Richards. Good to hear that. And visual dad joke. Yes, I think we've got that. Slow by Kylie Minogue. Is that her new tune? She just got a big award, didn't she, for one of her recent tunes? I don't know that by Slow by Kylie Minogue. However, I was on Top of the Pops back in the day with Kylie Minogue. Back in the day when she was still doing the locomotion. I'll have you know, she was only about 8. Bon dia alegria from Paul, Louise, and Lottie. Good morning to you. Are you here because it's Quinta Crew Day? Lovely to see you, Paul, Louise, and Lottie. No pics. Always love receiving your pictures, Louise. Anything to share from your garden at the moment? Be like the old days, won't it? A Happy Homesteaders show on Get Out and Grow on a Monday afternoon. Anyone remember that from the old days? And from James Concordo to Good Morning Portugal here. That's me. Mental, emotional, psychological health contributes to less stress and better overall health as well. It's all about holism. Everything is connected. So true. But what I'm talking about there is not like, pots of this, that, and the other that you mix together, a palette of, you need a bit of this and a bit of that. I think it's foundational. How we choose to be in life affects every other decision we make. So if this morning I'm choosing to be grumpy, if I'm a being of grumpiness, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying, how's that working for you, basically? How's that work? How does that work for any of us? If we choose to be, if we choose to explore being open and spontaneous, if we are the possibility of vitality, that would be very different, wouldn't it, from being the possibility of gloom and doom, for example. Carl, in capital letters, what's going on here? I think I just gained a kilo just listening to all that butter and cheese with bread. It was delicious. It was delicious. And that's the thing about cheese, isn't it? Like the first mouthful, you think, why does anybody eat this? It stinks. And then like 10 minutes later, it's like, where's the rest of this cheese? I need to eat it all. There's just something chemical in there, isn't there, that some human beings really get turned on by. Coach Turner, of course, it's all connected, James. But I believe if we can improve our nutrition, it'll be easier to work. Yes, absolutely. No, don't get me wrong, Coach. Certainly in no way meaning to undermine your wonderful message this morning. Just adding to there. Leela, not seen you for a while. Good morning, Portugal. Hello, Leela. Good morning. Good to see you. And not quite old at this point. Slow. Okay, thank you very much. From Kylie Minogue there. She's knocking on a bit. Looking good, though. I wonder what her fitness regime is. And hola, Mark. Good to see you as well. A few people we haven't seen for a little while in the chat this morning and watching the show. And are you watching? Are you a lurker? And you've not dared to say hello yet. Today could be the morning, could it not? Yesterday was our vigil to await our new frigorifico. Frigorifico! It was a Herculean effort, but with the assistance of Wharton, the evil menace Samsung. It is sounding like a Guardians of the Galaxy episode 13, this, isn't it? Frigorifico. It does sound like a superhero of some sort, or certainly the name of a superhero movie. And with the assistance of Wharton, against the dark evil menace of Samsung, who was slain and a gratis equivalent LG appliance was procured. Hooray! Let it ring out through the universe that peace, balance, Love and joy have been restored thanks to the work. The great adventure of the Frigorifico, starring the Donauts. As the Bard of Avon says, all is well that ends well. Stratford upon Avon, the Bard of Avon, Shakespeare. All is well that ends well. Allegedly, that was him who wrote all that stuff. Bon dia todos from Jess as well. Hello. And perhaps Ian, or is eating better easier when our mental state is balanced? Not sure where it starts. and where does cheese fit into that? Whenever I make a cheese sarnie, says by Randy. Now, we might have to explain that by Randy. Sarnie, cheese sarnie. Not a mishta, just a sandish concaision, okay? I make a cheese sarnie. I always cut an extra lump to eat whilst making the sandwich. Do we all do that? Guilty as charged there by Randy. Not to mention the little glass of wine that needs to be sampled alongside that as well, just to make sure it's going to be okay for who's drinking it later, which is also me. Very good. What I know, here we go. That's a bit of a grandpa way to start a sentence, isn't it? Well, what I know is that it's all important and helpful. Why does he speak like W.C. Fields sometimes? Guess again, not trying to reduce the value of eating well, nor of physical condition. There are adjustments being made in the chat. This is the difficulty of cold digital chat, isn't it? It can sound like it's kicking off, or that people have taken offense, or that offense has been caused. You think, did I cause offense? I didn't mean to with what I was saying. And I love what's going on in here. Gentlemanly conduct in the chat this morning, building upon the message of the coach. Pamela's in as well. Morning, Pam. Bon dia to you. You've got actually a bit of interesting news. Oh, I haven't changed the news on the homepage. Busy times, aren't there? There's a lot going on, quite frankly. But can I draw to your attention, Pam? You've reminded me here that it looks like Lee's not joining us this morning. Where's he been? Do you think he's got a hump with me? It's not like Lee to quietly have the hump. If Lee's got the hump, he's normally around and ringing you up at 2 a.m. to tell you so. So I wonder what's going on there. Have just seen the other guest, says Jason. So Jason's going to be joining us, I think. And Effa and Joy will be joining us. I know Effa, really lovely lady. That's good to know. So maybe Matty, maybe Lee. We'll see. It's looking unlikely that Lee's going to be joining this morning. However, I can cheer you up with some chocolate news if you're into that sort of thing. And maybe only eat chocolate on 2 or 3 days of the week. Oh, T-Duck's in as well. Morning. Or should I say good afternoon, T-Duck? Let me bring onto the screen then our homepage where I publish little snippets, some of my favorite news of the week. And this made the cut of my favorite news this week. It's the chocolate festival that's coming up at Óbidos. The Chocolate International Festival will take place in Óbidos between the 1st and 17th of March, as you can see on the screen there. Other news headlines this week. Our own news celebrating 2,000 Gumper subscribers. Plan for teaching Portuguese to foreigners. That's in the news. Do you think that's a little bit of electioneering? Possibly. I don't know. The footage of us going through Caldas da Rainha whilst the farmers were going in the other direction. Lisbon has been crowned as the new tech capital, certainly by Stefan Black, a leading tech expert from Zen Shield, which sounds quite ominous, doesn't it? A security product that they frighten the living bejesus out of you probably to make you buy it. The American boom. And this chap here, Pat the expat, here's the deal. If you're reading this via the internet back in the US of A, does anyone really say that? You've already missed the sweet spot. Oh, prices are going up everywhere you turn. Look, Pat the expat, this is a little bit sensationalist. Prices are going up everywhere you turn. Lisbon Airport is already too small. That happened a long time ago, didn't it? Bijou, intimate, Lisbon Airport. Make new friends. Pretty soon, if not already, the locals will begin to resent the newcomers who speak a bit louder, are more demanding and less patient, while flashing credit cards that reflect a different economic standard. Residents, the very people who read the leading English language newspaper, that's the one that he and I write for in the Algarve, have already noticed. I think there's a little bit of a journalistic license leaning into some of the more sensational aspects of that, but an interesting read nonetheless. The American boom over there on the Portugal resident. And this is what I was there's also the best cities in Portugal could be described as heaven on earth. 10 places that you can tick off there. It's an old article that, but it was brought to my attention. There's some 10 nice little profiles of Portuguese places of interest. And this, what happens if I press that button?
Estamos em Óbidos, na vila medieval das mais conservadas de Portugal. A vila tornou-se próspera depois que o rei Dom Dinis deu de presente a sua esposa Isabel, no século XIII.
Turned up nose, turned down hose, flapper, yes sir, one of those has any.
E aqui em Óbidos acontece o 20º Festival Internacional de Chocolate. Vamos conferir?
A 5'2" covered with fur.
What's that? That's sure to get me a YouTube strike, isn't it? But he's talking about his girlfriend and she's covered in fur. Oh, well. The Óbidos Chocolate International Festival then taking place between the 1st and 17th of March. Not far from... I don't know why I thought of that. Oh, I know why I thought of that, because I mistook it for being in Alcobaça, where there's a legendary... I think there might be a chocolate festival there as well. Certainly a massive pastry festival that we've already had this year. So attention now turning in the gastronomic and confectionery world to Óbidos for the International Chocolate Festival there. 1st to the 17th of March. Bon dia to you, Scott, as well. Scott joining us this morning. How fantastic. So many people who haven't been here for a little while joining us for Quinta Crew Day. Afternoon, says T-Duck. It's too foggy to tell it is, isn't it? Look at that. Look, I barely see the neighbour's roof. It's truly a Silver Coast day today. Silver in the sense of fog. And Michael Barton telling us that Karen does that all the time. When making a cheese sandwich, cutting a little bit of extra cheese off to nibble whilst making the sandwich there. I think a condition that many of us can relate to. I have a 9 a.m. meeting all the rest of this week, so just saying hello and running away. Okay, so we don't need to take that personally. And what's this? Obj. Oh, okay, if you're not Óbidos. Yeah, but if I say Obj, people are going to say, where? What? What's that? I'm going to stick with Óbidos, and I'm going to truncate it. And in 10 years' time, I might have truncated it so much that it's Obj. And people are, what? For the time being, for the purposes of people understanding what on earth I'm talking about, Óbidos. Óbidos, I'm going to go with there, because the accent is on the O, and the accent is helpful. Accents are our friend. Is that what you say, James? Now, I nearly forgot to play this. Matty is joining us. That's great news. We'll have a chat with Matty in just a moment. We can't go there until we've had Wayne Carpe Diem saying good morning to us, inspired by the footage from Pam and from Sarah yesterday. Here we go. Thank you very much for this, Wayne. Very gracious of you to make this, and not only make it, but to share it with me as well. Didn't say where that was, did it? But I think that's very lovely. Thank you very much, Wayne at Carpe Diem. Of course, subscribe to the Carpe Diem channel if you would as well on YouTube. Some great videos of their house build. They're having a house build, and it's coming together beautifully. It's a very good documentary series, basically. I mean, not in the most official sense, but it's documentation of their process. So if you're interested in either having a house built yourself in Portugal, it's a good resource, or just even, people love that, don't they? Like Grand Design Show, DIY SOS. It has all of those sort of flavors of will they or won't they, and will they stay under budget? Did anyone ever stay under budget building a house? I think not. And before we move on from Óbidos, that's it. American, it would be Óbidos, Óbidos. And if you're English, what would we say? Obidos. Yeah, there we go. Road. That's a great idea. Road trip to the chocolate festival. Excellent idea, Michael Barton. Why not suggest that over in the Portugal club? And I think we'll see more and more of this, won't we? One Gumper will say, "I'm going. Who's up for meeting?" That sounds like a great idea. If you say "Oh my Dios," it all sounds like Obidos or Obj or Josh. And from James, Sculpet, apologies, I got a bit preachy there. It's okay, you're forgiven. You are so forgiven. But yes, you were righteous with accentuation. Right there, weren't you? It's ideological accentuation. Why not start a political party? Accents have the power, everybody. The cult of the accent there. You're forgiven. And we need to move on anyway because Matty is here, looking like he's in a scene from a John le Carré movie. Let's find out. I don't think he's at the Quinta. Let's give him a nice big round of applause. Hold on a minute. Good morning to you, Matty. Hola, bon dia. Nice bit of backlighting. Hello.
Good morning. Hello.
Hello. Bon dia. Tudo bem?
Hello.
Hello.
Bon dia. Bon dia.
Okay. All right.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
So why
Now-
are you
now we
not at your
settled
Quinta? Are you about to break the news to us, Matty, that it was all too difficult starting a renovation project and you just moved into a house and you're done with it?
No.
Okay, so what's going on? Why are you in? Is that your old kitchen or is that someone else's kitchen?
No, that's the kitchen in my rental house, and
All right.
I'm back here to pack up my stuff
Oh.
and make it basically empty and return it to the owners.
Oh, I see. So this really is a milestone in the process. You are completing living in a domesticated way, basically. And this might be the final nail in the coffin of your old life as you embrace the new fully. Is that right?
Yep.
Wow.
If you want to see it like that, yes.
Is that
Well,
maybe a bit
it's-
too dramatic?
What?
Is that a bit too dramatic, putting it like that?
Yeah, it's just moving out of one place and moving completely into another. Simba, he has to fuse.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I have a little bit of wobbly table and my coffee is on the table and my dog wants attention. And when he hits the table, the coffee spills. So we don't want to do that.
Think yourself lucky
yeah,
you have
I
a
sent
cat.
you Yeah, I don't have a cat now. No. I sent you a couple pictures on the WhatsApp from my Quinta. Maybe you can share them.
I am sharing them now as you
bit.
enjoy and nurse your coffee on the table there. So let's have a look at progress at the Quinta. The long shot first. Look at that. That's why we go and live in the countryside for a morning like that. A bit chemtraily, I've got to say. However, oh, look at this. You've got a nice gate blend there, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, we're the gutter people were on my Quinta this week.
Right.
So I have now gutters on my tech room. And
Wow.
you also can see a little bit, we started to dig a ditch, which is partially filled up again to put in the water pipe, which you still can see on the right side, the whole roll, which will be the connection for my washing machine inside the tech room.
Very good.
And that will connect the washing machine with the IBC tank until I get my borehole.
Yes. So we're still waiting for the borehole by the sound of it. And do you really call them the gutter people? And do you do that to their face?
No. I just don't recall the names right now. And yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we should call them the gutter people.
They're really good. They're really good. I mean, there's about 6 meters and a little bit on each side of the roof gutter and the downpipes, of course. And the bill came in with 295 euros, and it's made from aluminum.
Very good.
Aluminum.
Yeah.
So it's resisting the Portuguese sun, and I probably never have to change them again.
Very good. That sounds like very good value there. And there is one of the gutter people. Are they escaping from the dogs, or are they actually working on the gutters there?
No, he's at that point he's drilling a hole into the gutter to connect the downpipe.
I see. Okay, excellent. And then we're going to go inside. What's happening here? Is this your new extension, or is this is for all your stuff today to be dragged from your previous abode to your new one?
No, this is a picture that my trailer finally is empty and
Yeah.
ready to get pulled back to Pombal, which I did yesterday.
Okay.
So
That's
now
quite a
I'm
nice
ready.
little shelter, isn't it? If all else fails at the Quinta, you can get inside there and take refuge from the elements.
Yeah, sure.
But watch
If
out
it's
for
empty,
that.
but when
Yeah,
I'm back, when I'm driving back to my Quinta, it won't be empty, so that's probably not have space.
yeah.
But
I'm thinking maybe Quinta Ondragos Airbnb in a year or so when you're fully settled in there. That could be turned to a nice little. That's a glamping unit, Matty, right there.
Is it? No windows, no toilet, no
Exactly.
kitchen.
That's what. Yeah, that is glamping. Exactly as you've defined it, right? And is this your tech room? Oh, look at that! It's looking very tidy in there with proper fire extinguishers and PowerPoints. And is that a server cabinet?
No, that's just shelves. It's my my big fridge from Amsterdam,
Okay.
and my couch.
Wow.
Which
It's actually a man cave. It's a man cave, isn't it? It's a man. It's got a sofa and a fridge with beer in it next to the sofa.
Yeah, and in this room there's even a 50-inch TV somewhere.
Exactly. That's what the fire extinguishers are for. A 50-inch
No,
TV.
they
Proper man cave.
no the fire extinguishers are for the solar system. They came with a solar system.
Oh, do they? Is that what happens? My goodness. All right. It does get very hot in central Portugal. So generally speaking then, how is it going, Matty? It looks great. Great progress. You seem chipper. So glad to see you in this positive condition.
Yeah. It's all going, not of course not as fast as I want and not without a hitch. But then again, we're in Portugal, so it goes as expected.
Well done. Well done. So you've made that adjustment mentally as well. Good man. Excellent stuff. So next step, you're waiting for the borehole by the sound of it. That's another thing to you're waiting for, or the next step. What else are you waiting for? And what's the next
short term when I'm back at my Quinta, a friend of mine has a friend visiting and he works construction and he's actually the guy that helped me connect the washing machine. And we also gonna connect the mobile home from the IBC. And hopefully the pressure I have from the IBC is enough to actually run the water heater in the mobile home. If not, then I at least have running cold water, which is also an improvement of having no water.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, well done.
And and hopefully I'm pretty sure the washing machine will run with the pressure that the IBC can provide, and that means I finally can start washing my clothes again.
Very good. That'll be a relief to the friends you mentioned, won't it? I think it's a tent. It's a glamping unit, basically, James.
It's a tent on wheels.
It's a tent on wheels. Matty, have you thought about? Morning, Stephen. Great to see you here. I remember you. Have you thought about using time lapses on the YouTube channel? So, have you got a few kind of before, after, and during pictures that you could stitch together?
Probably try that when I'm in 1 year in.
Yeah.
I do have time lapses almost in every video, but that's just speeding up my slow work.
Well, let me be. It's a bit like when grandparents see their grandchildren. My goodness, how you've changed. Because we check in with you every month, Matty, it is fantastic to see your progress, and we're aware of some of the ups and downs you've had. So I think it looks like things are taking shape very nicely.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to leave Pombal this time.
Yeah.
Since that will mean that I'm basically have only one place left to live in and don't have to pay rent, don't have to pay electricity anymore, and basically be my own landlord.
That's a lovely feeling.
Yeah,
isn't it?
that's
or you're about to have that
Yes,
lovely.
and as you have seen, my mornings are quite nice and bright with the sun, and every morning I walk around my borders with the dogs. They enjoy it. I like it, and I see what I can fix. And one thing I have in my mind is on my riverfront there is some old fencing, and I wanted to fence my inner parts around the olive trees, but I think before I do that I have to fix the outside wall, which might be still good for the next 50 years, but it starts to lean and it has a hole in some place. So I wanted to have it done nicely and a bit higher, and at the end the curve to the entrance gate. But I don't have the gate yet, and it's difficult to find the stonemason that can do the work. I got one estimate, which came out on 15,000 euros, which I don't have lying around anymore. So I expect others will be in the same ballpark. So I'm gonna postpone the wall until I have the money.
Yeah.
And since I need the fence to have the sheep not eat my crops,
Yes.
I think I'm gonna use that old fence on the riverside to make a little garden patch with a fence around so the sheep can't get to it.
Fantastic.
So that I can start planting something and get at least my own salad.
Yeah, that's the next step, isn't it? No farmers, or yes to farmers and no to hunger. So you're a little bit ahead of this food supply curve here, as is Jason, who'll be joining us in just a moment. Give us a thumbs up, Jason, if you're ready to join us already. Okay, he's going to. Okay, let's give him a nice big round of applause because he can join us for this bit of the conversation. Oh yes, good morning to you, Jason.
Morning, guys.
How are you?
I'm doing very good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Good to see you. And you're joining us at this part of the conversation when we're talking about planting and growing food, of course, which you are something of an expert and quite prolific when it comes to that sort of thing as well. Louise has also sent in a picture, a little bit of tidying up. She's trimmed her bush outside the house there by the look of it. Very good. Nice one, Louise. Keep those pictures coming, if you will, on 913-590-303. How are you, Jason? What's going on at Quinta Essencial?
Oh, we're doing good, thank you. Really enjoying the fact that the rain is stopping a little bit. Yeah. And we're getting a little bit of sunshine now. Means we can really start cracking on with what needs doing outside. Yeah. Because so far, all I've got in the ground at the moment is, I don't know, about 400 head of garlic, 1,000 onions, and some broccoli. Really? But in the past 3 years, we had a bit of sun about 2-3 weeks ago, and normally I'm absolutely chomping at the bit to start planting things. Yes. And then we get that cold, wet snap that tends to kill everything off. And so this year, hopefully, I avoided that, and so hopefully saved ourselves a load of work. And we're just getting ready to uncover all of our beds and start planting some wholesale. So get loads of cauliflowers in, get some potatoes in, carrots. We'll probably do some late peas and stuff like that, and just start throwing stuff in the ground and hoping it sticks.
How lovely! How lovely!
I just got a thing for Matty.
Oh yeah.
In regards to your water in your static. If you're relying off of the pressure from an IBC to run a water heater, is it like a instant gas one? Your water heater.
He's got a bit of a delay with that coming in, but
I don't know. Yeah, my connection is not the best because I'm stealing it from the neighbors.
Okay. So does it fire up when you turn the tap on? And so it's just got pilot light.
I don't know yet. I haven't.
What would you recommend then, Jace? Because it sounds like Matty hasn't decided which technology to use to get hot water from the IBC, which is, by the way, everybody, the IBC is the standard issue, isn't it? For anyone who's a homesteader who needs to capture water, it's those old juice containers, isn't it? They're in a little metal grid, like a cube, a plastic cube, a white plastic cube encased in an aluminium frame. And they can be they're a godsend, aren't they, for anyone who needs to store water on a homestead. What would you recommend? What would you recommend to Matty then? If I mean, that's a storage solution. How should he heat the water that's coming out of that, Jace?
Well, it depends. It depends on whether it's a 12-volt or 220-volt system on the static.
Right.
And so if it's 12-volt, then they normally work off a maximum of like 10 psi, which is about 1.82 bar.
Yeah.
But if it's a main style one, like an escentador, which is like instant water, you turn your tap on, and it goes from being a pilot light to a full light. That's going to need a minimum of 3 bar.
Okay.
And so normal, like in the truck, that's what I fitted, and you just need to go and buy yourself a little pump.
Okay.
You only need it to be 3 or 4 bar, and it'll have a sensor on it which lets it know when you've turned the tap on. But that's why you need to check whether it's a 12-volt or 220-volt system, because otherwise all of the water pipe that you've got will only be good for 10 psi.
Very good. Okay, good to know. Yep. And then that's for these heaters have got a flow switch on them. Obviously, the flow switches are dependent on the amount of pressure coming through to spark up the gas.
Because otherwise, the sensor in the heating unit will say that you haven't got any water connected. So as a safety feature, it won't let the gas come on.
Yep, very good, but a bit frustrating if you're trying to have a shower. Patty is here. Howdy, guys. This is a great idea for a channel. I've never seen any of you guys. What? Where have you been, Patty? Nice picture, by the way, of a heron there, I think. But I watch many other Portugal channels. Well, you're very welcome, Patty. Good to have you here. And Louise, whose picture we saw, says, we don't have the same requirements as Jason, but we have similar planted, including nabo roja, which makes a great curried soup instead of parsnips. That's like a radish, isn't it, the nabo roja? And sowed French beans yesterday. So that's good to hear. Are you getting inspired here, Matty, with talk of what's being planted? Or is there no chance of you planting anything until you've got your fencing up? Because you'll lose it to the sheep.
Exactly. And regarding the water heater, there is the mobile home came with a water heater inside. I just have not found out the specs yet, but like I said earlier, the friend of a friend of mine works in construction, and he works with heating system and stuff, so he knows what to do, and he already said if the pressure is not enough, we need to add a pump.
Yep.
So,
very good.
But it's the whole setup will be temporary until I get the borehole, and then we're going to do it the right way.
Hopefully. How exciting. And you're absolutely right, James. The Quinta is a long-term project. Matty knows that, and he's coping very well, I think, with the amount of time it takes, and has increased his patience quotient, I think, since he's been living here in Portugal and got to grips with the system. What's new at Quinta Essencial then, Jace? Because we've got some lovely pictures. These didn't come from you, but I scoured these from the internet. You're famous, mate. This is is this you at your local market? Looking very good.
Yeah, we've been doing a few markets. It's a great way to meet people and to sort of generate a little bit of interest in what we do and get advice and some knowledge. There's a lot of people out there who are doing similar things. It was one of the things I wanted to talk about today was the markets, because obviously there's quite a vibrant scene in most parts of Portugal. We're very blessed where we are. So I don't do like the normal everyday markets. I've got a bunch of friends, and they do what's called the artisan markets. And so it's lots of Portuguese and estrangeiro, for want of a better word, traders who either make or produce their own products. And so that particular one that you showed there is a market of Figueiró dos Vinhos. And ever since a couple of years ago, and everything that went on 2-3 years ago, the market had started dwindling quite a bit, and it ended up they've got this amazing purpose-built marketplace, and there were a big swath of it that was completely unused, and still is every week. And so once a month, there's probably about 25-30 stall holders, and we go and take up the empty lane. And for once a month, you've got people there doing everything from we obviously sell fruit and vegetables and fermented foods. There's another guy called the Chili Experience.
Oh yeah.
And he's there with all of his amazing fresh herbs and spices, spice mixes and stuff. And then people who make olive oil soaps and various foodstuffs and things like that. And so it's a really great way to sort of draw a bit more footfall into the markets.
Brilliant.
And so I do that. That's every second Saturday of the month.
I think we need to tell Jackie.
Every third.
All right, we need to tell Jackie, the humble crafter, about that. Jackie was asking about what markets to go to in Portugal. That sounds like a good one, not just from the point of view of exposure, but to meet other people, other traders as well, and be part of that community. It sounds like a few wonderful people coming together on that particular Saturday, Jason.
It's really good as it goes, because obviously you get a lot of the Estrangeira community there, but it's also a great way that some of the Portuguese people get to see some things and experience some new things that they wouldn't get in their everyday life. And also, it's a great way to form some kind of integration. And actually start speaking to people in your local area. We've met lots of people who some of their health's been invaluable to us, and so we really like going along to them. And so I do that one every third weekend, and then there's one just up the road from me, brilliantly, 5 minutes away, which is the Grassa Market, and we're there on the second week. And we've just started doing one in Satar, which is the first Saturday of the month. And it's called the Eco Market. An amazing purpose-built market hall, and it's got some semi-permanent stands in there. And then once a month, they let us roughnecks go in, and we take it over for a day.
So let me just recap on that then. You've got Figueira dos Vinhos, which is happening, and that's the, did you say which Saturday of the month? Third Saturday of the month. Sertar, you just mentioned, and which weekend is that, or which day?
It's the first Saturday of the month.
First Saturday, and then your local one is what, Pedrogo Grande or Pedrogo Pequeno?
It's Grassa.
Oh, Grassa, I beg your pardon. Okay, so the Grassa. I mean, this is great. This is really good to know. So, Jackie, I hope that's a few tips for you there. And you were spotted. Paul Rees now does a slot on this show, and he was talking about, and there are some foreigners who are growing some food not far from me. It turns out he was talking about you. So this lovely how all these little connections are being made. And my eye is drawn here, Jason, to these bottles here. Is that fig wine? Is that your crop of fig wine there?
No. So in the bottles there, we've got a live apple cider vinegar.
Oh, my word.
Which is made from apples from our trees, which obviously we never spray. And in the bottles next to that, we've got a red wine vinegar, and then in front of the bottles, that's a brinjal pickle.
Get away! Fantastic.
That's a really good seller for us.
I bet.
And really tasty.
I bet. Yes.
Along the front there, I've got a kimchi con navitas, which is like kimchi made from greluche and other local Portuguese foods. And then we've got like a kimchi there which hasn't got any spice in, and so it's more like a Korean pickle, which is really light and fresh. It's got pear in it and apple and all sorts of nice stuff. And then the last two to the right are our best sellers and the staples for us, which is our vegan kimchi and what I call our full fat kimchi, which has got it's got seafood in it, and so
seafood.
Well, it has fermented shrimp paste, anchovy sauce.
Oh, that sounds so good. That sounds
really deep, rich flavour.
I saw that gesture. That puts lead in your pencil, I bet.
Yeah.
I like to add that I had the vegan kimchi quite a couple of times, and it's really, really nice, really good. And every time I'm at Jason's, I try to get something of these goodies, anything fermented basically that I can eat, because I'm lactose intolerant, so I have to have the vegan one. The sauerkraut is great, the kimchi is great, the pickles, anything.
Well, we're going back to the
unfortunately
element that we were talking
unfortunately
about.
when I head back to Lurisal, I won't be able to come by. First of all, I have the big trailer, and second of all, I take a different route. But I will be back.
He will be back. Always sounds good in your German accent.
I don't know if I've got a trailer's load for you, but I'll do my best.
Very good. That's wonderful. What a fantastic range there, and very good for the gut health that we've been talking about. These fermented foods, very, very good, made of organic ingredients by people you know and trust at Quinta Essencial. That's absolutely wonderful. Your sound's gone by the sound of it, Jace. We've got Aoife and Joy to join us in a few minutes' time as well. So looking forward to that. Jace and Matty might like to know that there's a first aid course coming up, ideal for homesteaders and people who are working in the field. In the fields rather than in the field, because that means something different, doesn't it? Are you back with us, Jace?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened there.
No worries.
Yeah,
have you got a budgie? I wanted to ask you, have you got a budgie in there with you as well these days? There's a very noisy bird in some. That's outside, is it?
That's just the bird life that you get when you do regenerative agriculture and you don't spray things. And we welcome wildlife into the garden.
Yes, absolutely. Well, could you turn it down a bit, because it's been very distracting. We're trying to.
I'll go and give him a shout.
I absolutely love it. It's amazing. Are you going to show us?
I don't know. We get a few here. One of my favourites that we get here is a hoopoo.
Oh, yes. We've got a hoopoo on our street at the moment. They're amazing, aren't they? That lovely sound they make. And the way they fly as well. Here we go. We're going outside with Jason now.
They're just all around, I guess. But so we don't have I've been wood chipping for my life at the moment. And trying to get everything sorted. Don't have too much to show you in the garden really at the moment, because like I say, we're just getting ready. But the
compost corner
is going pretty well.
Yep.
And then down here, that's about 200 or so garlic.
Oh, nice.
And then just over here, that's all
onions, yeah.
But you can see it's only just stopped raining here, and so I'll need to get everything wood chipped up. And then once everything's wood chipped, I can come in with the strimmer and then get a little bit of because all of the wood chip obviously makes our pathways and stuff like that. And so we'll get a bit more definition of the garden against the backdrop of everything else.
Wonderful.
But it's really beautiful day here today.
It really is. That's so lovely. And the images we've been seeing of the Portuguese interior in the last couple of days have been absolutely superb. Patty saying, an unusual bird by looks, loving the hoopoe, especially for you, Patty. We did have some pictures of the hoopoe. They're not on my picture deck at the moment because I've had to make some room for other things, but we've still got these flamingos, which you can also see. Look at those flamingos taking off in Stabal there. So, Patty, thanks for dropping by today. I thought you might like that, and I'll see if I can find the hoopoe pics as well. We are with Jason at Quinta Essencial. We've got Matty not at Quinta Essencial, but that's where we'll see him next time, I suspect, when he's fully moved in. And I'm going to give him a nice big round of applause. Or am I? Aoife's disappeared. I think we could talk to Joy, though, can't we? Even if Aoife's not there. So let's give him a nice big round of applause. And bring him onto the screen. Hola, bom dia, tudo bem? How's it going?
Good morning. Good morning.
I didn't mean to cause you any concern then, have you run back to your seat. Were you making Joy a cup of tea?
Oh no, we've been doing our hair in the camera. We were having a bad hair day, actually.
You look beautiful. The pair of you look fantastic. Thank you for being here this morning. And I think whilst we've got Jason and Matty here, I'm not sure what their movements are this morning. I'm hoping we can stay and have a chat for the next half hour or so. But could you remind us of this fantastic course that's coming up, Aoife, that you mentioned last time you were on the show? This is when a doctor's not around and dealing with some of those countryside injuries. God forbid they happen, but they do sometimes. And you're putting on a great course to help deal with such situations.
Yeah, they're fantastic. So they're one-day courses with a vegan lunch included. So the basic course is 5 hours, and that just covers all the basics of first aid. And then the more advanced course is suturing, anesthesia, how to do injections, things like that. But if anyone's interested, I can send the course content. The basic one on the 3rd of March is now full, which is great. We need a couple of people for the advanced one on the 2nd. So just because we need a minimum of 7 people to run the courses.
Well, fair enough.
If anyone out there wants to join, that'd be great. We'll make that one happen. And then the 20th and 21st of April, it'll be the basic and the advanced one again. Also, the doctor can order medical kits, first aid kits, and the advanced suturing kits and all your drips and everything like that. But that's just contact me directly and I send him the message.
Incredible. All right, we've got to, before we meet Joy here. I said you'll be bringing Joy to the show. Isn't that a lovely thing to be able to say? Do you guys ever help each other out with building places? No, we don't really like each other. We just pretend on screen here. No, we do, Patty. Do you guys ever help each other out with building places like a roof raising? Well, we've not been invited to do that yet, but why wouldn't we? Yes, at times when possible. I was able to help a little bit putting up solar panels at Jason's almost a year ago. That's right. A few lads came over to your place, didn't they, Jason, when you were building the shop?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, my goodness. Right, okay. Yeah. So yes, Patty, you're part of, you've chanced upon a very helpful community here. And if you want us to come along with our video crew as well and document it, that sounds like a lovely thing to do. A roof raising. It sounds like, Amish people drinking lemonade and raising a barn there. So you're well up for that. Right, Aoife, it's great to see you back on the screen and you brought your friend Joy with you. Please introduce us to the lovely Joy here.
Okay, so Joy's been a friend of mine since I was about 8, 10. So that's over 30 years now. I'm not going to give away my age completely.
I will not ask.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And she's a life coach. So she's also, as a personal introduction, I will let her introduce herself and what she does.
Yes.
But she's coached me for most of my adult life. She's the godmother to my eldest daughter, who's nearly 20, and she was my birth partner to my younger daughter. Because my family have not been around for a long time. They're in New Zealand. So Joy was in the New Forest, and I was in Brighton before I moved to Portugal. Wow. So she was my go-to mother, I suppose you'd say.
Yeah, no, fair enough. That makes a lot of sense. I can't bear the suspense any longer, Joy. We're talking about you. So lovely to meet you. Muito prazer. Great to meet you.
To meet you. Hello, morning Portugal. Fantastic. Thank you for having me on.
Not at all.
Yeah, well, I guess where Aoife is talking about physical accidents and things and being able to help yourself, I'm all about the mind. Oh. And I really believe that I know people can, because I've done it myself. The whole thing's through personal experience, but I really believe people can manage their own minds if they know how. So that's what I do. I coach people for all sorts of different things. It really doesn't matter what, but at the end of the day, it's all about managing your own mind and being able to take care of those anxieties, get them doing something else for you. It's energy, So I get people to do all sorts of different things with their minds that make them feel better.
That's wonderful. And it sounds like you're way ahead of the life coaching curve, because it's a relatively new discipline or approach to things, isn't it? Were you into this long before a lot of the newcomers to the scene were practicing?
Well, to go back, to put this really into context, I'd have to tell you a little bit about my life. And I'm adopted, and I grew up in a really sort of dysfunctional background. It was really bad for me, you know, and I was an only child, and I ended up sort of having to bond with my own imagination.
Right.
So I was quite a tripped out child, if you know what I mean. I was looking at the world and not really understanding it. Very sad, lots of sad things happened. Now, this isn't to get everybody to feel sorry for me, because I'm a really happy person. But in context, it was up until I was about 40 years old, and I was still suffering from sadness. And I wouldn't go to the doctors and get depression tablets and things like this, because I knew I wasn't depressed. I had real reasons for being sad. But when I was 40, and I'm 65. When is it? Tomorrow? Next day.
She's here for her birthday.
Yeah, I'm here for my birthday. I don't mind you knowing how old I am. I'm not like her. When I was 40, I learned I went and studied NLP, and I'd already studied psychotherapy. And psychotherapy takes you back in and makes unconscious stuff conscious over and over again. And really, at the root of it all, I was just brokenhearted. I hadn't ever bonded with anybody. Yeah. And I found that out through psychotherapy, but it didn't change anything.
Right.
And so I went on and I started studying NLP, which is 25 years ago now when I started studying. And I found out that you could move elements of your mind around and put them in different places. And I developed it. I went in and developed this, you know, for myself, worked on myself. And I found that stuff I've been carrying with me for the whole of my life, I no longer needed to carry with me anymore. And that was the start of it. And so I've been teaching people how to do the same thing, working out new ways of being able to show this to people, because you meet some people are really spiritual, some people are really scientific. So I always work with the sense of gravity, because gravity is sort of kind of undeniable. We're not going to all float away all of a sudden. But tuning people into their inner senses, we need some medium for getting in there. Yes. Because some people can and some people can't. But once you can, and you do it carefully enough, and you tune into the subtleties, there's lots we can do. And I'd love to see young people. I work with young people in a recording studio, helping them produce music and stuff like that, and helping them perform, learn, get the confidence within to go and perform, where they come, and lots of them are neurodivergent. They don't believe they can do anything, or they think they can do things that they can't, and then they discover they can. Fantastic. And so that's where I'm coming from.
That's absolutely wonderful. So would you say you healed your broken heart?
Most definitely, yeah.
Right. Sorry to be so direct, but that was
no,
so
please.
powerful.
I love directness.
Yeah, when you said that, you know, that is quite a realization, isn't it? And it might be one that many people are laboring under in a way that they may not have thought about before. You know, that, and I guess the language has changed, hasn't it? In the last couple of decades, people would call that PTSD or trauma now, wouldn't they? And which they're recovering from childhood trauma. And there may be something, I don't mean to make it sound easy, but there may be a simple device and a practical one and a gravity fed one, as you put it, which I think that sounds fantastic as well. You know, a practical way of having healing happen and releasing all this wonderful human potential that I think you've also alluded to there. Do you think that at the moment there's an even more poignant or important battle for recovering our own minds, as it were? Because that seemed to be what you were saying as well. We've got all this potential and capacity and power, yet that's seems to be under quite a few demands from other quarters, does it not? Is this an especially challenging time for the work you're doing?
It is an especially challenging time. So, for example, all the stuff that's happening in the world, and I mean, it's concerning. You've only got to look at it, and it is bloody concerning, you know?
Yes.
You can't really avoid that unless you're kind of half asleep. So I like to get people to understand that there's lots of things to think of in this world, and we can't think of them all at once. So we are actually allowed, and to help people get permission, give themselves permission to think of what's the best thing to think of at any one time. So, for example, people worry about things. You can give yourself permission to worry about it for an hour. You've done your worrying. You know you've done it. You know if you spent 5 hours worrying, you wouldn't get any better than you spent on the 1 hour worrying. And so you're allowed to put it to a side. You're allowed to do that. We've got to learn to give ourselves the freedom to be able to say, right, okay, that's not for me now. Now, when I just say that, it's not always easy to just do that.
Yes.
But there are ways of learning how to just do that. Going into sort of a meditative state and strongly visualizing it and talking to yourself and running the feelings that way. Yes. You can start teaching your unconscious mind how to do that. And we've got to give ourselves a chance here, you know, because if you actually took on board all the madness that's happening in the world, you drive yourself mad.
You so would, and I do sometimes, Joy. I do. Now, I know these two fellas above on the screen here. They do that. Yeah. I've had this conversation with Jace. So, you know, I'm always putting stuff on Facebook, you know, sort of jousting and challenging people. And Jace has come back to me and said, well, I don't know about that. I'm just getting on with growing vegetables here. And I love that. And I think you've done exactly what you said there. And Matty, I think, wants to add something to this conversation as well. Go on, Matty.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I for myself, I decided that all the worrying and thinking about what may happen and could happen and dangers of things that you're going to do, I just quit and don't do it anymore because it's a waste of my energy. Yeah. So I just do what I think is best, and I tackle the issues that rise when they rise and don't think about anything in the future or what. I mean, you know what I mean? I used to be like, if I do this, then I might get that and maybe this, and how do I do? And I'm like, okay, just do it and see what problems or issues come up and then tackle them, and don't think about anything that could happen and might happen, and think about a solution for that might not never happen. So
he's a natural.
Very much energy saving.
Natural, yes. I mean that's exactly it. The only thing I would add to that is that we don't want to kind of push ourselves completely into denial. So I like it when we can get together and we can discuss and debate certain things at a certain time and give it our full energy. And because some things need to be named, we need to show the world that we can do a lot better than this. And I know lots of good people, and they can do better than what the general message is coming from the Google or whatever. The whole world thing. I think we have to change it, and we are changing it, and we can add to it. But as long as we give ourselves plenty of time to feel good, and you're allowed to do that, that's absolutely acceptable in my book.
I think that's a really important message. It's okay to feel good. Jace, I know I may have misquoted you there, but I think you're a very practical guy, and you're modelling some of what Joy's talking about, right? You're getting on with it, aren't you?
Yeah, we are getting on with it. But I think Joy's made a really important point. It's like you can't just live in denial of these things. You can't shut the world out completely.
Yeah.
But I know it's an old adage, but people say be the change that you want to see. And so, for instance, with things like the farmers and the state of food and stuff like that, it's like I can either sit and I can worry about it, or I can take some kind of small step to improving my personal situation. And then through that, hopefully, you're always going to meet other people who have shared the same kind of concerns. And so if you can then foster some kind of belief in these people that they can take responsibility for certain part, I think a lot of the disease within the human condition is because we feel like things are being fostered upon us and we have no choice. Whereas if you start taking small bits of responsibility, start taking back responsibility for your own life, and so I'm always very keen to share when things go right, because it's hard work and I'm like, yes. But equally, if things aren't going your way, then rather than find an external source and something to blame it on, for me, I like to really examine and see, well, if I'm making all of my own decisions and I'm taking back ownership of my life, then it may have been me. Don't beat yourself up about it too much, and sort of try and plan a route to get to where you want to be as a person. And it's really important that you have love and respect for yourself, because you can't give something that you don't have. And so it's going to be very difficult for me to foster love or respect in other people if you don't actually have it yourself.
Yeah, well,
and then for me, it's just a matter of sharing and, trying to get, for me, the biggest struggle is trying to get people to realize and understand how amazing they are.
Yes.
And trying to find that I've never met a boring person yet. If you actually sit and listen to somebody's story, we've all had incredible lives. We may not all have the same experiences, but to get from A to B, it's like you have to run the full gamut of life. And some people just get a little bit lost along the way, because they're judging themselves against all of these unattainable celebrities and lifestyles and things like that. Their own self-worth, people generally peg themselves at quite a low position, where really we're all alive, we're all here, I'm there, you're there, let's crack on with it. Get some stuff done.
All right. Thank you, Lacey, for that. I think you're in good company this morning, Joy.
Yeah, another important point I'd like to add here as well, and I keep finding this. So we get, there's lots of groups come together who are looking to establish a new way. People's assemblies are a big thing in England at the moment, and people joining together. But one of the things I find that's kind of missing, and I want to name it, is the art of collaboration.
Yes.
Now, the thing about, so somebody told me the other day that they run this group and everybody was there and they were looking for a meeting point if all the electricity went down and there was no services where they could meet in the town. And they couldn't agree on it.
Typical, right?
They couldn't agree on where to meet. Now, I look at these things like these meetings with Davos and the WEF and the WHO and all of this sort of thing. These guys know how to collaborate. They really do. In spite of their differences, they can come together and they can collaborate for a common cause.
Yes.
And our education systems, we've kind of been sort of left without that ability to really be able to know what it means to collaborate. And I'm not going to go into it too much, but that's something I've been studying and working on, how to teach people how to do this, because it's absolutely vital that we learn how to join together and put a group message back into the world, like a big loud one from lots of people all over the world.
Yeah.
And collaboration is key to our success, I believe.
Well, it's the opposite of divide and rule, I suppose, isn't it? And that seems to be one of the methods of controlling large numbers of people, is to get them thinking different things to each other, which actually in the end aren't that important, but they get made to be very important, don't they? And people get emotional and upset and divided, and we're seeing a lot of that in the world at the moment. I think there's quite
absolutely.
Yeah.
So society cannot exist without collaboration.
Right.
By
we're doing it anyway, aren't we? Yeah, we're doing it anyway, aren't we?
Society is
yes,
an agreed set of tenets that everybody collaborates on.
Yes.
But in a universe full of limitless possibility, unfortunately, everybody's collaborating on this set of ideals over here. When the normal everyday person, we want to collaborate on stuff over this side.
Yes.
You know, and so the thing is, even with those people who are doing things that we don't necessarily like, what we have to try and do is find a way that we can all agree, because that's what gets rid of division. And it's division that causes the problems within our world. And so even if we don't agree with what these people are doing, we have to really strive to try and find some kind of common ground and put things forward in a way. If you can put things forward in a believable way, it will be believed.
I always say that left and right politics, it's like the political seesaw has broken. And it's a seesaw is just, doesn't matter how hard you go with a seesaw, how hard left or how hard right. A seesaw is not a form of transport. It doesn't go anywhere. Yes, it's just it's a pendulum to mesmerize us. Left, right, left, right.
Yes.
And you know, we need a bicycle, we need to cycle, we need to move forward, we need to go somewhere. And so it's a different mentality. And whilst we keep arguing about, I don't know, left and right, I just say left and right, black and white, left and right, whatever. We're missing the point. We really are.
Yeah.
And we can do better than this. And it's not that difficult. We just need to think about it now.
What a lovely message. And some say that the two cheeks of the same arse. I would never be so rude and say something like that. Right? But I think we're seeing a lot of that in the world at the moment. Now, on that note, with so many expats, Patty's asking, moving to Portugal, do you think of how you all make changes in how the government is run there? Do you have voting rights? You can vote locally, can't you, Jace, if you, as a resident, and you need to become a citizen to have a vote in the general election. Although a lot of my Portuguese friends would say, why bother? For some of the reasons I think that Joy has given this morning. But that is the constitutional possibility. Would you like to add to that, Aoife, as somebody who's been here for a while? Do you know the technicalities of that?
For voting?
I think that was for Aoife there, but I think she's frozen up. But Jazz, you know, Jazz, don't you, about what with as far as voting goes and getting involved in a local community?
Yeah, so obviously I can vote in the local for our president in Vila Facaia.
Yep.
And I think that extends all the way up to the local elections at Pedroga Grande.
Yep.
And so you should get an electoral card which comes through, but we're not allowed to vote in the national, in the parliamentary ballot.
Yes, and that's happening on March the 10th, everybody, and we'll see what that brings. I know a lot of Portuguese people are very cynical about what, if anything, will change, apart from the faces. Voting is only for documented citizens like it is in the USA, or used to be, adds João de Norte there. So we've only got a few more minutes to go, and I'm loving the cut of your jib, Joy, and the atmosphere that you've brought to the show this morning. And I think it's
thank you.
Oh, it's lovely to have you. I mean, do you like being in Portugal specifically? I guess with knowing Aoife, you've been coming back and forth for a little while now. Have you seen it change?
I love this girl. So she comes to me and I go to her. We hang out.
Do you love coming to Portugal?
It's beautiful here. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And I think on that political note, there does seem to be a good amount of local politics where things can actually and really change, not without its challenges. But I mean, you're going to get that, aren't you, wherever human beings are working together. So if I may then, and get everybody to talk on this, and starting with you, Joy, as our guest of honor today, how are you seeing things? I mean, with all that you've said so far and these, what could be defined as somewhat challenging and turbulent times we live in, what would you see as a vision for these next maybe 5, 10 or 20 years for humanity?
A vision. Wow. To me, I mean, if I'm looking out 5, 10 years in the future, and you're asking me this completely on the spot.
Oh, yes.
I do see collaboration is key for how that goes. If people can understand that life isn't exactly as we've been taught it to be, There's more to life than what we've been told. The essence of being a human being and what we're truly capable is wonderful. It's really wonderful. Yes. I know that. I can feel it. Working with people and seeing their senses coming alive for the first time, all lined up, and being able to really feel the human being, the authentic human being, the alive human being that they are. I think if everybody knew that, and it's not that difficult to learn, we could build such a fantastic future. And these old cronies who are still living in the past with their, we need less people on the planet, and greed, more money, greed, us, well, the superfluous few who they literally think that there's people on the planet who shouldn't be here or don't have value. Everything's got value. Everybody's got valuable. Everybody's got gold. So if you're asking me about the future, if we can get that message out there and really tune into what's golden about being a human being, what's golden about life and living on this incredible planet where actually we know of no other planet like it. People talk about aliens and space and blah, blah, blah. There's nowhere we know that can grow food and all air, produce environments. We need to start tuning into our preciousness, the preciousness.
Yes, I'll take it, Joy. Thank you very much for that. Matty, I think Joy's right. There's a lot of people about who have sort of been fostering this agenda of human hating. We're a problem and something should be done about us. And the legitimization of sadness and misery seems to be, we've set quite a low bar for ourselves. What do you say about the next 5, 10 or 20 years, Matty?
Well, my hope is that the world will be a little bit less greed-driven, and some of those people wake up and see what she just said, that we all have value and all are part of the big machine that's called Earth. But to be honest, I'm not really convinced it will be. It's just a wish. And if you look in the past, there's no indication it will be happening. But if we all pull together, maybe we can change some people that sit in the spot that can make decisions that help.
Thank you for your honesty. If I was closer to you, I'd give you a lovely big hug. I would ask your permission first, but I that's what I'm feeling right now, Matty. Thank you. Virtual hug from here on the Silver Coast to you, my friend, and good luck with your move. Jason, I'm sure you've got something to add to that.
Or about how I see the world going in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome because we're going to be the age of the oligarch and it's not even the 1%. People aren't even talking about the 1% anymore. It's the 0.1%.
Right.
And they've worked out that the 1% have got a lot of money, but really there's probably about 6 or 7 people who actually state what's going on. And for me, the cat's out of the bag with communication, the speed of communication, the quality of communication that we now have. It's very difficult for things to be esoteric anymore. And so much so that to confuse and confuddle everything, it's like fake news is bigger than real news. In fact, it turns out it's all fake news because most of it is opinion. There's very little of anything which is grounded in any real physical reality.
Yeah, well said.
And so, because people are realizing this and they're realizing that the people that lead us are incompetent, I think people are taking more control. And I say more power to them. And if we continue, eventually, it's like nobody's going to take any notice of any of the things that we're told. And hopefully we just get on with it. There's very enterprising people doing things with energy, agriculture, arts, all of the things which make us human and contribute to the human condition. And less is now, people are talking about supermarkets and things like this and how they rip off They rip off everybody at both ends, farmers, consumers, yes. and give you bad quality food, and that's just one example. And so everybody also knows that the money that they give in to councils and governments to provide public services and things, a lot of the money, it appears, allegedly, I don't want to get anybody into trouble, gets into people's pockets rather than into actual services. And so my hope is that people will pay less and less attention to the TV and the newspapers and start, being responsible for yourself and your neighbours and the community at large. And then I think we're just going to rule this stuff.
Yes! Thank you very much for that. Thank you. I'm so glad I asked this question. And it's flipping Aoife's fault that we're in this condition this morning, because she suggested Joy come on the show. And now look what's happened. So last word to you, Aoife, as the person to blame for this outbreak of wonderful wisdom on the show this morning.
I know, isn't it fantastic? And I wanted to add to that. Obviously, I've been here 17 years, and the influx of people in the last few years now. About 10 years ago, I've been a therapist here the whole time, and I've had no one to really talk to. I've had a really good friend who's a fitness instructor, and we can talk about muscles and things. And a lot of the stuff I like to talk about is a bit geeky, and nobody really gets it. I like going on anatomy dissection days. It's a bit weird. And as all these people have been influxing here, I have so many people to swap treatments with, to talk to, that talk my language. And I said about 10 years ago, I have a feeling this area, and that area spreads, it's probably Tamar, Pajogo Grand, where I am. It's a good hour around me, I'd say. I did say I think it's going to be quite a cosmic area. I don't know where it came from. I just said it years ago, and it just seems to be happening. So if I'm right, I'm with Jason and Joy thinking I think everything's going to get great. Collaboration is the way, and if people can do that, we're just getting bigger and better, really.
Superb.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being the catalyst for this conversation this morning. And you'll be joining us again. Matty was just asking what sort of therapist you are. You two definitely need to know each other. Aoife is the Art of Unwinding, Matty. I'll make sure you're connected after the show, okay? Because Matty's doing some very important and useful pain management stuff as well in his part of the country. So you guys definitely need to know each other. Thank you, all of you. Jace, thanks very much. Don't know what happened to Lee this morning, but thanks, Jace. Keep up the good work there. Matty, all the best as Quinta Essencial develops. Lovely to catch up with you. Aoife and Joy, thank you. Have a superb day.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Your birthday here in Portugal, Joy.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're going rebirthing and sound healing today. I've been good.
Okay. Fantastic. All right, great. Big round of applause for you all. Take care, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Ciao. Hasta luego.